Okay, so here we are. So this is Debbie, and we met online years ago, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
So
been a
I
while.
mean, I don't know how long it's been, but it's been a long time.
hmm
Yeah. So and you were you a part of the Facebook group I had on there years ago, the Common Sense group?
Yes,
Were you? Yeah.
That's where it all started.
That was the Wild West, wasn't it?
Yes, it was.
That was
Good times.
that. Yeah.
Back when people used to actually talk.
Right. And the threads were, 200 comments long. I mean, they were just
Yeah.
massive, massive. So anyway, so what are we talking about today? What do you want to talk about?
Hey, let's talk about immigration. It's my little side hustle that I do. I do immigration helps and consultations and stuff. So I like immigration. It's my baby. I like it.
Immigration. So in the US,
Yes, coming to the US,
coming to
immigrating to the US, specifically focusing on bringing husbands, wives, children under 21 is the big thing. And I mean, there's a mass growth because one thing that people don't understand is when we say, immigration reform and people talk about immigration, everybody is focused on south of the border. And yet we have a very big immigration issue with people who come over illegally. People don't realize that our biggest problem with immigration aren't the people come over illegally. And what I mean by illegally, people come uninspected, come across the border. We don't even know they're here. The biggest illegal population we have are people who came here legally with a visa, flew in, came on a boat or whatever, and just disappeared. Came over here on a fiance visa, let's say. You're supposed, you have 90 days to get married on a fiance visa, and landed in the US and never saw that fiance and just disappeared into the woodwork. It
Wow.
and that happens. I can tell you story after story of the guy who had the flowers to go pick up his fiance at the airport, and as he's walking in, he sees her walking out with another guy and never saw her again. But she's here I mean, all kind of things, or the people who sponsored their spouse to come over here. And
How often does that happen? I mean, is that a thing? Seriously?
I wouldn't say it's rampant, but it's sort of like the thing we had with Cuba with the wet foot. As long as you put your foot on U.S. soil, we can't send you back, kind of a thing. A lot of people feel like I just got to get to the United States. I will come by student visa, work visa. Some people come here with work visas, student visas, and never go to school, never go to work, but they're in the United
So
States border. And
they show up with a student visa and then they're just like they just disappear.
yeah, the school actually, because to get a student visa, the school has to accept you and they're sponsor you. So you get a degree. I mean, you get a visa to go to XYZ school, and you never show up. But guess what? You got that visa and you're in the United States, and you might have connections here, and you just disappear, right?
So how does that work with other countries?
With other, you mean how they do it, or
No,
how?
I mean, if people come in and do that, is there any
Mhm.
are other countries are just okay with that? That their people are just leaving and staying?
Well,
I mean,
it's what's interesting is Philippines is the only country that I know of that actually has, it's called a CMAR. They have seminars for their citizens where they actually have to sit down, and basically the country is doing everything they can to discourage them from going to the United States. So whether it's a fiance visa, spouse visa, they have to sit through this seminar, and they're going to tell you how horrible us Americans are. They'll probably be, sexual slaves. We're mean, we're abusive, we're this, we're that. If they ever have problems, they can go to the abuse center, and then they get a sticker in their passport. They cannot even leave their country of the Philippines without their CMR sticker. And that sticker shown at the airport lets them know you at least went through the seminar, so you at least the crazy place you're getting ready to go to. They're about the only country I know that prepare their citizens for craziness, but it's funny because like my husband's from Nigeria. It's funny, even in West Africa, the things that they're told about us. I mean, that they're going to come over here and be our sexual slaves, that, we're going to put them in bondage and we're going to work them to death and take all their money and not feed them and this and that. And I'm like, sexual slaves? They go, yeah, you guys are known for being kind, especially us women, American women are known to be very, high strung sexually, we just got to have it. So I'm like, wow.
Wow. And I've actually heard the opposite. I've heard that European women are more that way and Americans are more prude.
Prude.
I mean, that's what I've heard.
It's interesting, because a lot of these countries, the only way they learn about us is through television. And I'm in a lot of African wife groups, because we focus on mostly West Africa and stuff. And it's funny because especially with Black American women, I told them, I'm going, what positive role models beside Miss Huxtable on the Cosby Show do we have? Look at the Black women we have on TV. So if you only, like, I remember my philosophy teacher said this, if you had to tell a Martian from another planet about us, what would you say? So if the Martian only had TV to tell how we are, we'd be in trouble, because look at us, Black women especially, even white women. I look at, like, Everybody Loves Raymond, Roseanne. We're loud, we're boisterous, we're bossy. The poor men are, the men don't have minds of their own. Even though we laugh at these shows, I watch them now years later. Like, I love King of Queens, but I'm like, if I was that kind of wife and talked to my husband like that, I would be divorced.
It is so condescending. I know. I agree.
Yeah.
I agree.
So they got TV to thinking, that's one reason why they think we're all fat balling and rolling, and we're all Jay-Z and Beyonce, and we all got this money, and you're Bill Gates, and it's and this is the land of milk and honey, and
right,
it's opportunities, but you got, like my husband says, man, you guys work hard over here, and I'm like, okay. He goes, you would think that coming from a third world country, they would think, we work harder than you, but he's like, y'all, he goes, I can see why you guys don't take a lot of vacations and you work hard. Okay, and everything's expensive. Yes, it is, dear. Yes.
Right.
Yes, we work hard for a living. So that's my thing, getting people here legally to reunite with their husbands, wives, and whatever and stuff like that. And it's so funny because all the immigration groups I'm in, they're always like, well, Debbie, you know so much about immigration. I wish, you were you worked in the embassy and stuff. I go, you wouldn't want me working for immigration. And because they think because I'm so nice in these groups and helpful. And I'm like, because many of y'all wouldn't be getting visas, okay? Because, like, a perfect example is Nigeria. Nigeria was on Trump's banned list, okay? And this is where people just think I'm just such a Trump supporter, but he was right about this. He basically told Nigeria, get your stuff together, because in Nigeria, and in a lot of these countries out there, money talks. I could go to Nigeria right now with my old ass and get a new birth certificate. I could be Untitled, 35 years old, born in Lagos, Nigeria. I could get a birth certificate tomorrow that will be legit and everything. I could go get a new marriage certificate, be married to whoever I want, get a divorce.
They just print them?
They'll just print. You just go give the and I'm talking about a lot. I'm not talking about tens of thousands. I'm talking about give that person $50, $100, because the average income there is like about $130 a month. I'm talking about the bank teller, the cashier, all the things that we see out here that people might be making $8, $9 an hour. They make $130 a month. Wow. So I'm going to go up there and, here's $100. Type this up for me. This is what I need. And so a lot of these women, mostly women, are petitioning these men, and the conversation is many Africans are already married. They already got a wife in the village or kids and stuff like that, right? And so a lot of them give these women, like I know women whose husband have given them divorce papers, but they were fake. Give them, death certificates of wives. They have the kids, but the wives are dead, but they really aren't dead. The wife gets resurrected, 2-3 years later. Things like that. And so basically Trump said, Nigeria, Buhari, clean up your act. Too much false stuff. And like some of these women don't understand. And I'm like, what happens if somebody, I'll give you a perfect example. A friend of mine petitioned her husband over here. Then later, a few years later, she petitioned his teenage daughters that were like 17 and 19, but they really were like 22 and 23.
Wow.
But over there in Nigeria, he was already convicted and had a police record for raping these same daughters, blood daughters. But he went and paid somebody to get a clean police report, because you got to submit a police report to come over here. So he had a clean one. He comes over here, continues to rape one of the daughters, and the daughter finally told the stepmom, "This is what he's been doing to me." He's been convicted. He is now in jail here in Texas, in fact. But it's like, he paid somebody to get a clean police report. If this was only caught up, and that's the thing that Trump was trying to say, clean up your act. You guys, it should not be like this. I shouldn't be able to go to a court and get fake documents or something doctored up, or take off that murder charge and put down that I'm clean. You know, I mean, my God, you know, because it's like one day something horrible is going to happen, you know? And then people need to realize that. Like I tell these women, I'm like, you know, the government's was trying to protect you. You guys got all upset and thought it was racial and stuff and everything. But it's like, how could it be racial if it was only Nigeria? Why didn't Ghana get picked in the other countries? Because they cleaned up their act. And it's like, we can't be having people come over here and marrying you, and he's already married in the village. And then you find out, I see it every single day. Women find out their man is really married back home. And he came over here to get his green card. As soon as he gets what he needs, or a citizenship, which only takes 3 years. We're the only country in the world that hands out citizenship. Like, it only takes you 3 years from the time you get here and get your green card. So you got your green card. Now I can divorce you, and I'm going to go bring my real family over. I'm going to bring, you know.
Wow. So how would we ever fix that? How can that ever be fixed?
That's a good question. And this is the kind of thing that it has to be a joint effort between the countries. The countries have got to sit down and say, this is a problem, you know, but long as you got another country saying, well, they're just trying to get an advantage. I'm going, okay, fine, that they come over here, come over honestly, you know, I mean, let's stop this fake stuff. And I realize there are situations where people go and apply for a visitor visa or student. This is rampant in West Africa, especially visitor visa, student visa. So let's say 2015, they went for a visitor visa, come over here, you know, because like I said, some are going to come over here any which way they can. They have they're not trying to go back. They're trying to just get here. And they'll sit there and say, you know, people say, oh, if you tell them that you're married, it shows that you have strong ties. Because the bottom line is, to get a visitor visa, you have to, the consular officer has to be convinced that you're going to come back when you're supposed to come back, right? So if you say you're married or got kids, you know, consular officer used to be like, oh, okay, they'll come back. But we can see, especially I have seen with a lot of these immigrants, they'll leave their kids. I know many of these men and women who've left their kids with mom, you know, grandma, grandpa, aunties, uncles, and have not seen their kids in 5, 10, 15 years. So they now know, okay, you being married and having kids, that's not a strong tie, because, you know, people do leave their kids. You know, I even see that with the Philippines. People will leave their kids behind, you know, and 5 years later be like, I'm trying to petition to bring my child over. I haven't seen them in 5 years. It's like, good Lord, you know, and so it happens. But how to stop it? The countries have got to combine, and it would be nice if there was a central depository, you know, even in the United States. I mean, I'm here in Houston, Texas. I'm married here. I can go to your state of Oregon and get married. They don't know I'm married in Houston. And it's not like they're going to, you know, they'll check all the counties, I would assume, in Oregon, or check that county. But like here in Texas, they're only going to check Harris County here in Houston. I can go up to Dallas and get married. I mean, we don't even have a central depository.
Wait a minute. So you're saying somebody could be married in one state in the United States and get married in another state and have a totally separate.
Mm-hmm. We have bigamous galore in this country.
That went on here in the States.
Yeah, we don't have a central depository here, and it has happened even within Americans, but especially with foreigners. I mean, you know, especially when you're dealing with with Africans or with people who are from Muslim descent. Like Africans, not legally, they can have 4 wives, but you know, over there they have traditional marriage, which, you know, you get married in the village, you get married in front of the the chief and
Why?
stuff. And
Why
then you
would
have the
ever-
registry, the white wedding, the registry where you sign that piece of paper. That's the legal one. In Africa, you can have 4 wives traditionally, but you only can have 1 wife legally. Well, there's some men who got 3 and 4 wives, and they're not going to tell the American citizen wife, the American citizen wife, she just thinks she's the one and only, and don't realize there may be more. And it's like, that's got to stop. And how you stop that? How you stop people from lying? So that's a hot mess.
Wow. I had no idea. I had no idea. I mean,
I could tell. I need to write a book. I could tell you stories that
you
be
could,
like,
you should. So the most that I have heard about immigration has been about the southern border, and that's the biggest buzz that goes on.
mhm.
And you hear a lot about that, but you don't hear about some of the stuff you're talking about.
No, because everybody wants to talk about illegal. So and it's funny because I'll ask people, when you hear the word illegal, what do you think? Illegal immigrant or illegal undocumented? Now, undocumented is the person who came here uninspected. So they came here and we don't know that they're here. They came across the border, they snuck in on a plane, which is rare, or snuck in on a boat. Then there's illegal. Nobody thinks about that. And think about it. People come over. We have millions of people coming over here every year with visas. They're supposed to, and at the border or at the point of entry at that airport or whatever, you're stamped with whatever time you get to stay, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 6 months is the longest any visitor gets to stay here. So when that stamp, whatever that time is, they're supposed to get out. Well, a lot of people don't get out. We have people that are overstay, as they say, 5, 10, 15 years. I've worked with women and men who have met people who have overstayed for decades. And they're like, okay, I met a man, and most of these women have met men that have been here like 2, 3, 4 years, and they think that they're here legally. It's funny, because most Americans, if you ask them, well, if the person's here, they must be here legally. But it's like, one of the big indicators you can tell if they're illegal is where they work. If they're working in some divey thing, like they might say they have a bachelor's degree, but they're working in some divey place and stuff or they're working or what a lot of immigrants do is like somebody like my husband, and he gets approached all the time because he's legal. He's even a citizen now. They'll ask him, can I use your social security number? Now, my husband protects his credit and his social, like Fort Knox. But there's people who sell their social security number. There's people, one of the ladies was saying that she did not realize, but her husband had let like 7 different people use the social security number all over the country.
For social security number.
That stuff kind of catches up after a while because, IRS, and I figure with COVID, they're really behind, but she had went to file taxes and she was so excited. She thought she was getting back like $4,000 and she gets a bill saying, no, you owe us $15,000. And that's when her husband told her, oh yeah, I've been letting people, but he's an immigrant. He don't realize how important it was. He was like, well, they were paying me some of their paycheck every month. And she goes, babe,
oh my God.
Yeah, and he didn't, and of course they're making it look like, well, I only needed to work.
My head would explode.
I mean, there's so many different components like that are going on that is just why. And this is, okay, I'll give you another crazy thing about immigration and non-immigration. You can be here illegally, undocumented. And you always hear about sanctuary cities and stuff like California and stuff. You can be undocumented, illegal, and you can go down to the food stamp office and get food stamps, go to public housing, get put in public housing. But someone like my husband that came over here and is legal, and because he was an immediate relative, the minute he came through the airport, he became a green card holder, legal and everything. He couldn't get public assistance or a green card. He is not qualified to do that as a legal permanent resident. But yet a legal person can get it. If most people, if they go to their food stamp offices and stuff, a lot of those people really are illegal. It's not a profiling, it's not a racial thing. And it's like, how are they, and they're illegally here, can get these things? And that's one reason why California is bankrupt, because they have just gone buck wild. It's like, you're not letting the people who pay into the system get it, but people who are illegal, and I'm sure there are illegal people who have jobs and stuff like that, but I'm talking about they're illegally here. How can they go and just get food stamps like that? But yet someone who has a green card and is legal cannot. The government says, no, you can't do that. You're considered a public charge, and the government don't
Wow.
like that. So
Yeah,
just,
see, I had no idea about that either.
yeah,
So
it's
if they're actually here illegally, they can sign up for benefits. But if
well, and Medicaid too. And with healthcare, Medicaid, if my husband's a citizen now, but I mean, he's only been a citizen since July, but before that, and he's a trucker, if he had gotten in an accident when we didn't, there was a while we didn't have healthcare. If he had gotten an accident, getting the healthcare, and if they had thrown him on Medicaid or Medicare and to help him or whatever, the government would have been knocking on my door saying, here's the bill. This is considered means tested government aid. You have to pay us back. And I've seen this happen where someone sponsored their sister, and the sister came and she got pregnant, had a bad pregnancy, neonatal. $1.5 million later, she was on Medicare. She just got here. She didn't have who gets health care as soon as they come off a plane? Good God. And now this lady, she says I'll be garnished until my third generation, and and I mean, because the government came after her after about a year and was like, she wasn't supposed to get Medicaid. And most hospitals, they're just like, oh, you don't have healthcare, okay, you can, they don't go through, oh, you're this, you're that, they just put you on it. And
right.
it's unfortunate. There's so many little variables. And sometimes I think, I don't even know if our government even understands even the little things, because everybody's focused on the wall and the border and the this. And it's like, that is truly not our issue. And that is really not our problem. It really isn't.
Okay. So, and I was going to ask you that. So you're saying that, when it comes to the immigration debate, it's bigger than, would you say the stuff that you've seen going on, it's actually bigger than the stuff going on across the border, the southern border?
Very much so. Very much so.
So
And
even though Trump, when he was in office, was building the wall, slowed that down, the human trafficking and stuff like that. You're saying there's a bigger problem with people that come over here, quote unquote, legally, and then just
legally. And look how easy it is. Think about it. You've got there are literally banks of working people in like Russia and Philippines and Africa, and all they get online, fall in love with a man or woman, right? Now they're going to sponsor you. How legal is that? I might break your heart. I might be using you just to come over here, but hey, I'm doing it. And it don't take that long. I invest myself for a few months, 4, 5, 6 months later, somebody's petitioning me. Now I'm coming over here, or you fly over to my country. We get married. You meet the family. We take pictures, make immigration really happy. Like I always tell these women, I'm going, it's funny. All of us are in this group. We all basically submitted all the same evidence, the chats, the posts, the pictures, the this, the that. Yet this one got denied. This one got approved. This one is in administrative processing being investigated. It's all so subjective, but it happens. So even if they shut down even if they put a big wall around the whole United States of America, there's still the people coming in here legally that ain't leaving. And to me, that has always been the issue. How do we get people to leave if they're all here visiting or even student visa? Because student visa is supposed to be for that period of time, and you're supposed to go back when you're done with your schooling. So if you're here for a 4-year degree, when that 4 years up, you're supposed to get up out of here, but they don't go back. The majority don't go back. If they did a study and see how many people who come here for a student visa go back when they're supposed to go back, and if they really don't want to go back.
I think you're being a little hard. Don't you think some of the people with student visas should be allowed? If they're perpetually a student and they keep going to school indefinitely and they're taking one class, shouldn't they be allowed to stay?
Not one class, no.
Why?
They're supposed to be work. This is for a certain minute of time. You have to be a full-time student. You can't work. Now you can find somebody to get married, and sure, some of them do come over here.
Wow,
and,
you're brutal.
They find Susie or Bill down the street, get married, and then that person petitions for their adjustment of status. They get their green card. They can stay here forever. See, that's legal. I have no qualms with that. It's the people who, and I've known people do this. They get the student visa to go to Oregon State, and Oregon State ain't never seen that person.
So let me get this straight, and maybe I heard this wrong, but potentially, and I'm not saying I would do this, but potentially you could get married in one country and have a little life there and get married in another country and have a little life there and get married in multiple different countries or multiple different states and have multiple different wives and lives.
And people have done it. I've known people who have been caught up in that with the, give you a scenario. The man and the woman, the husband and the wife come from Africa, okay, on a visitor visa, right?
Yeah.
She goes to Georgia, he goes to Tennessee, he goes to meet up with the American woman that he's been talking to online, because he married the American woman online because she came over to Africa, even though he came over here with his African wife. So he marries the American woman, he stays with her for a year or 2 years until he gets his green card. 3 years later, he qualifies for citizenship. After he gets his citizenship, they go out to dinner. He takes the oath. She gets served divorce papers at the dinner on the day he gets citizenship, divorces her, moves to Georgia to be with his real wife, the African wife. You know, and he had, by the way, he's been running back and forth between states to see the African wife. In those 3 years, he had 3 children with her. So it was make sure she get pregnant, stay pregnant.
Okay, but women do that too. Okay, it's not just the guys.
Oh, yeah.
I just clarify.
Oh, I know some that have babies that ain't their African husbands. That, pookie down the street. Oh yeah, it happens both ways.
So I mean, so what about that? I mean, anchor babies and stuff like that. So they come over here legally, they stay, they have a kid. The kid is a legal U.S. citizen.
Yep.
And then they just leave the kid and.
Oh no, I've known some anchor babies. Usually if they're stuck like that and they have no intention of going back, now the next thing is I got to find me an American citizen to marry. So it's my status. Or there's some people who they don't want that drama. They just stay in the cut, right? I mean, it's like, especially if I'm a woman, I possibly don't have to go work. So there's no reason I need a green card, right?
So if you're, so if you're single and you're a male and you're hard up, you're having a rough time finding women, you should really consider looking at the immigration stuff because they're looking.
I'm telling you.
They're looking for dates.
Immigration, hey, there's no respect to person. You can be tore up from the floor up, poor as a church mouse. I've known of people who have petitioned, people who literally live in a hut, okay? Don't got nothing, illiterate, cannot read or write, never have worked a day. And we're talking about in their 30s and 40s and petition them over here. I've talked to these women. I mean, I need to write a book, and because be like,
you should.
What attracted you to him? But some of them are blind. And is this like I don't know if you ever get a chance, sit down and watch 90 Day Fiance if you haven't seen it yet, because it would kind of give you, it doesn't talk a lot about immigration, but you get to see a lot about the dynamics of the couples, and it makes you wonder what would make this guy from Tennessee go online and fall in love with this Russian girl or this older woman. There's a woman that's she's 55 and she fell in love with the Nigerian dude that's 34, something like that. I'm older than my husband, I'm 26 years older than my husband.
Wow.
So yeah. So, and of course, in immigration circles, it'd be, oh girl, you being used. Oh my God, he just wants you to get a green card. Well, we're way past that. We're going to be celebrating 6 years of marriage on the 15th of this month. So we're way past that and everything, So, well, he'll want kids. He'll want this. Oh, well, whatever. Go adopt one. Go get a dog. I don't care. Jeez. But, it's scary. It's really scary because
so how many
there's a
Russian
lot of people who
wives
want to come here.
I mean, if somebody, how many Russian wives can a guy get? I mean, if he was just looking, I mean, not that but you could have a lot, right?
Oh yeah. And it's funny because the way this online stuff has gone, I just remember when I was a kid, I remember I know most people have heard mail order brides. Well, this is just taking it to the next level, because it used to be you could petition people a fiance over here that you've never met before. And I don't know when they changed that, but now to do the fiance visa, you now have to have met or seen each other within the last 2 years. But it used to be they would petition somebody. So imagine your petition, you've been talking to Svetlana for months and you just love her, you know, you video chatted and she is the one, but you have not jumped on a plane to go see her and she hasn't seen you. You just done, we've been doing this and we're just in love. So they
the
used to
Zoom
do
meeting
that,
works.
but they stopped that, right? But you know, I mean, this is rampant.
Now you actually have to meet people.
You got to actually meet in the flesh at least 2 years. That's for the fiance. I mean, obviously for the marriage one, you had to have met because you had to have gone and married. You know, I went to Nigeria and met my husband and got married and stuff because most Nigerians aren't going to get a visitor visa. They're not, because most don't go back. So we, you know, so it would have been nice. He got a visitor visa to come visit me and, you know, we would have got married here and did it. But I went there and then I stayed for 6 months. You know, I went and we got married. I came back, then I went back 5 months later and I stayed for 6 months. So, you know, so it wasn't one. And then I've known people who have done this and they went and stayed 1 or 2 weeks with their spouse and they never went back. And that's what immigration has to face too. We're giving all these people visas to come visit, to come live, to immigrate here. And the couple have only spent, you know, 1 week together, 2 weeks together. She's never seen where he lives or she's never, his parents went all the way halfway around the world and you don't even meet his family. And in America, that wouldn't be a big deal. But when you go, especially to Africa, India, Pakistan, the Middle East, family is everything. So to get married, even if it's some small thing, to get married without parents, family, big red flag. You know, that is like, okay, why are you hiding her or him? You know, and I've seen people that they've had that because they knew the family would not approve or whatever, you know, and so those are the things we're facing. And unfortunately, if they were to do the stats, I would say divorce of people who immigrate, I would say is probably about 80%. I would say most don't even make it to the 3-year mark, to the citizenship thing, you know, so the 3-year mark, you know, it's very hard. There's a lot of people, like I said, a lot of people incompatible. Like I said, we're all talking like this. You're like, oh, Debbie's really cute. Well, you know, Jacob's really cute. Maybe we should, you know, so we decided to go get married. And now he comes here or she comes here, we're living together. And you know as well as I do, talking like this is one thing, talking on the phone is one thing, but when you're in the same space,
right,
that's when it gets real. And a lot of people were not ready for that. For me to go live with my husband for 6 months was vital because as old as I am, I had never lived with a man. So I needed that. He never lived with a woman. Like he had said, he goes, I had girlfriends, I've slept with women, but he goes, I never had them sleep over, you know, because over there, you know, you can't be slipping out of some dude's apartment or some girl's place. Over there, it's taboo and stuff. So he goes, so I never slept with a woman, literally never. She never slept in my bed. So we had to get used to being in the same space and me cooking for him and washing clothes and doing all that little stuff together and stuff. You know, it was different because he was a bachelor, you know, and it was like, you know, like, well, do I have to make more room in my closet? It was funny, you know, it was an adjustment. But a lot of people, like I said, they go visit for 1 week, 2 weeks, and they don't see each other for years. And like, especially with this COVID, with a lot of people not being able to travel and visit,
COVID.
I know some couples haven't seen each other for the last 2, 3, 4 years. And they're waiting to get their interview. And it's like, whoo-wee, you know, and I mean, I have women who and men who have petitioned and they're like, and their husband or wife isn't here yet and they want a divorce already. I can't be with this person. I can't stand them. Nope. I got a divorce. And it's like, God dang, you know? So immigration's
do you feel that our country is better or worse in terms of immigration than other countries?
I would say we're worse. We're too lenient. For the country that most people want to come to, we're way too lenient. I would change the citizenship laws. 3 years is way too soon to become a citizen. You know, I mean, come on. I mean, it's 3 years if you're still married to the US citizen, 5 years if you're not. So, and we just have, and they make it too easy to basically toss away the US citizen and get married. Not that we have to force people to stay married, but, and I realize, yeah, people do make mistakes every single day and realize you know what? I really should not have married you.
Yeah, but
But
you
it's
see what goes on here on a political spectrum in terms of how you have, you have one side that says, man, we want to shut down the borders, we want to tighten up immigration, blah, blah, blah. And then you have the other side that claims it's being racist and is kind of a bleeding heart and is like, oh, they're just looking for a better life and we need to let them in. I mean, you see you don't, I mean, that type of stuff is not going on in other countries, right? I mean,
mm,
that's an American thing where
mm,
yeah.
yeah. And even people who are trying to like run out of Africa. I mean, people from Ghana and Sierra Leone and Nigeria, they'll go up and try to go across the Mediterranean to get into the Europe and stuff. Some of them will stay in Germany around there or try to make it to the UK. But most of their end game is going to the United States still. I mean, many of them. I know a few guys who left Nigeria and Ghana that they're held up in Germany and to get asylum, and they're saying that they're gay. They're not gay, but they said, I'm gay, so I can't go back there. So they're trying to get asylum, but they want to come to the United States. And it's like, we're making it too easy. And it's like, maybe if
what about being gay makes them stay?
the persecution, because they're saying we will be persecuted, which is true. I mean, being gay and in most West African countries, it can get you killed. You won't see it openly. You won't see it out in the open and stuff like that. It's very taboo and stuff. So, but it's not like it's not like being in the Middle East where you're literally beheaded, kind of a thing. It's not like that in Nigeria. But they try to purport that while they're online talking to some girl. It's like, really. And like I was telling this one girl, I'm like, so how is he going to explain how he got asylum in Germany when he's got a girl now? He's saying he was gay, he got gay to get an asylum. Now he's got a woman in America. I mean, that stuff, and they don't realize that stuff comes back and bites them in the butt. But I think we need to change our rules. We're subjecting, and I'm going to tell you now with immigration, as far as being a U.S. citizen, we really don't have any rights. You'd be amazed how many immigrants come here and abuse the citizen, use and abuse the citizen. I've seen citizens thrown out of their own house. So imagine your house, one you bought and paid for. Now you bring Svetlana over here and she has an end game and she's calling the police saying, oh, he's abusive to me. Oh, he won't feed me and stuff. And the police come and knock on the door and say, Jacob, we're going to have to walk you out. You can go stay at the men's shelter or somebody else's house. And she stays in your house. Now she got your house. Now she's driving your car. I've seen it happen.
And she's not even legal.
And she's not even legal. And she's doing all these crazy things and stuff like that. And it's like, why isn't this? And I've seen, domestic violence, criminal activity is, or if they find fraud, are supposed to be the three things that's supposed to get you deported. And yet I'm an immigration fraud group and marriage fraud group. And the stories that if you read these stories and see these people posting, men and women, a lot of men. It's sad, but it's very heartening because most men, because they don't want people to know they got played. We're used to seeing the women on Dr. Phil saying, I was used, I sent this person $1 million, and he used me and stuff. But we don't see men talk about this. So to see these men talk about, she took everything, she did this, she did that, I lost my job. For instance, you can be married to an immigrant, and it's a thing called VAWA, violence against women. Now, the reason why they created it was because women were being brought here. Some women were being brought here against their will or not against their will, and basically being enslaved, being abused and stuff. So they made this act, well, men can use it too. So imagine you've never touched your wife or your fiance, but she's despiteful because she's got maybe a boy on the other side of the continent. She's got a man in New York she really wants to be with. So she calls the police and says, please help me. He's putting his hands on me. And some of these people are trained. So they're trained on how to act like you have PTSD. So if I want to do an end game, I'll act like you beat me. Then I'll take myself to the women's shelter. You go to the women's shelter, you get a counselor, right? And I tell all the horrific stories and how I'm just so terrified of you and stuff. But the sad thing of the thing that I'm bringing the point to is all this stuff is happening unbeknownst to the U.S. citizen. So now now the police are brought in. And it's not like the police aren't going to come to your door and knock on the door and say, is this true? Did you beat this person? It's just a given. You get no due process at all. No way to defend yourself. It is just written law. This immigrant came and told us this person did this, and this. It can be something as simple as they won't feed me. They won't give me any money for me to feed myself. They go to work and I'm home all day by myself, kind of a thing. So now you've got basically a domestic violence case against you. You go off and, you and the person go your separate ways, get a divorce.
You're ruining my plan. I had this great plan based on the fact that you can get a bunch of Russian different women in lots of places, and now you're destroying it because I'm thinking, what a freaking nightmare. I mean,
just don't get the crazy ones. And
imagine if you had 4 or 5 different women in multiple states or multiple countries, and they all did that, it'd be miserable.
Can you imagine? Oh my God, can you imagine? And see,
I understand when you say, it's primarily guys, because guys probably get taken advantage of a lot in regards to that.
Actually, more men get scammed more than women, but you just don't hear it because, like I said,
I wouldn't want to admit if I'm being played. I mean,
there we are. I mean, one man's going to get there and say, like the one woman was on Phil Donahue, and she sent like over $1.5 million to some dude in Ghana that she has never met in person. She just did this all the time. And it was this one, and the crazy thing was there's a show called, I forget, it's a magazine show, and this guy was following this scammer, and he got to sit down with him because this lady in the United States was sending all this money, and she was married, but she fell in love with them, and she even talked to him and stuff. And it got to the point to where all of her retirement, she had to tell her husband about it and stuff. And the husband ended up killing her, and then he killed himself.
Wow.
And I mean, we're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars, and yes, I know someone, not that kind of money, but I've known some women who tens of thousands of dollars that they've sent to their husbands, their fiancés in these countries.
Wait a minute.
And stuff. So
wait a minute. Just asking. You can get women to send you money?
Yeah. Oh gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Easy peasy. Oh God. Jacob, man. Yeah, we're soft hearts.
What? I'm just asking.
Because you got to understand, if you go Google what is the profile of a romance scam.
What am I supposed to Google again?
Google.
I'm kidding.
Profile of what is the profile of a person who is romance scam? It usually will be a middle-aged woman.
They have a low self-esteem. They're slightly retarded. I get it.
No, not even that. It's middle age, and when they say middle age, they're talking like mid-30s and up. Okay, we're not talking about like my age. We're talking about like mid-30s and up, overweight, probably divorced, probably got a couple of kids.
So far,
the overweight is a big thing. And when I say overweight, I don't mean me because I'm not talking about me. I'm talking about women that are like 300, 400, 500 pounds. Okay, 3 of me. Okay, that is the profile. It's not something I invented.
Wait a minute. So the profile consists of 3 things. They're middle-aged, they're overweight, and they
usually are married, divorced, and probably got 1 to 2 kids.
Okay, so I'm 3 out of 3. What the shit?
Guys, I think are different. Guys are different and the reason why is because if I'm Svetlana and I'm trying, and believe me, a friend of mine showed me this. It was in Kiev. And it was a big old office building, and it was like you would have thought it was a telemarketing place, rows and rows of women and men all on the phone like this with multiple computers like this, talking to men or whoever they were targeting, talking to men and women. I might be a woman talking to another woman, but acting like I'm a dude. I knew somebody who Skyped with the dude for 8 months, and it wasn't even the dude that she thought it was. It was a Cyrano de Bergerac thing. And so just think, my end game might not be to come to the United States, but let's say I got about 6 or 7 of you American dudes, and some of you got some money. And when I say some of you got some money, you send me $100. Well, if I got 6 or 7 of you, and each of you sending me like couple of $100 every week, every month, I'm doing pretty damn good. You'd be amazed. And that's how Those are the things you have to spot. Spot the people who, you know, oh, Svetlana, but I love you. I want to come to Kiev and meet you. Oh, no, government is really bad. Da, da, da. It's always an excuse. You have to watch out for those kind of people. Or if you met them, you know, I mean, Law and Order SVU had a whole episode about romance scam. They really did. They bring the lady over, they hook the guy up online and be like, and he picks who he wants. Okay, I want Svetlana. They fly him out there to meet Svetlana. They have it all set up. They have the fake family set up. So he gets to take the picture with who he thinks of mom and daddy and uncle and all the, you know, whatever. And if they want to get married, they get married, but they do the fiance visa. So they get everything, get all the paperwork, all the fake pictures together. Then he comes back, pays his $10,000 fee, and she comes over, you got a fiance, and you marry within 90 days. And that was an episode of SVU. When I saw it, I'm like, boy, they got that down right. That's exactly what some of these things do. You know, it's like, gee whiz. So
Yeah, that sounds horrible.
Isn't that terrible?
It sounds horrible. So how does human trafficking and stuff like that fall into that? I mean, that's kind of that seems like a major loophole that people can really move bodies, you know.
Especially when it comes to kids. And that's one reason why a lot of embassy, and I've seen a lot of people get really upset. I can't believe that they want DNA tests of my kids. And, you know, like, because there's a lot of women and men here. Like I'm petitioning somebody and he's divorced or a widow and he's got 1, 2, 3, 4 kids or whatever the case may be. Not all the time, but a lot of times they'll want DNA because, you know, some people will try to bring their nieces, nephews. When I was there visiting my husband, when I was living there for 6 months, a lady wanted to give me her baby. Her son was like 6 months old. And I was playing with the kid and stuff. She goes, you want to take him? Well, take him where? Take him to America with you. I go, I can't do that. Yes, you can. You can be his mom. I'm like, I can't. And she was serious. And I was just like, don't play with me. But I was like, well, no, I can't do that, you know, but it happens. And then there is the human trafficking thing and stuff like that, you know, and so they're trying to curtail that with people doing the more DNA tests. They don't do it as rampant. They usually only ask for DNA when they really kind of like, you're trying to petition your kid, but you don't have any evidence. You've been with the kid. I have a friend, she petitioned her stepson. Her husband's been here for over 13 years. When he left, his wife was pregnant. His wife in Africa, African wife, was pregnant. He hasn't been back in 13 years. So she petitioned a 13-year-old. So when he landed at the airport, that was the first time he had ever seen this child, you know, and it's like, you know, those are the kind of things that, you know, and of course they don't get along. I mean, you got a 13-year-old boy and a father and, you know, goodness gracious. But so, yeah, I mean, you could definitely do some human trafficking through immigration, you know, get them here legally. And,
well,
you know,
yeah,
I mean,
it seems like a quote unquote legal avenue of getting people across the border and, you know. And
men and women. I mean, what if you're a woman who, you know, middle-aged or not middle-aged, you're tired of working and, you know that these immigrants will work 15 jobs, you know, to make a living and stuff like that. He gets here, and I've seen this happen. She quits her job soon as he gets here, you know, and now she's sitting back like this. I want a Lexus. I want a house. Poor guys running back and forth, you know, and stuff like that. And it's happened to women.
You see, ladies, this is a viable retirement plan. You can do this. All you got to do.
Go get Namdi. He'll work for you.
That's right. Smooth talk.
I mean, especially in their culture, most of the women really don't work. You know, they have the babies, they stay home. He takes care of you. So see, you know, a lot of them have that in their brain. So it's like, you know, so, or the man who petitions the woman from different countries, you know, Philippines and Russia are the two notorious ones. Bring them over here for basically their slave labor. Now you're basically my house helper. You know, you're my house help, you know, kind of a thing. You know, she don't have money unless he gives her money to go grocery shop. She can't go out. She can't do this, you know.
Grocery shop?
Mm-hmm.
They'll grocery shop?
Sometimes.
And you said the Philippines and Russia.
I forgot that. Your favorite thing, grocery shopping.
I'm just saying. I'm just saying, I hate grocery shopping. So,
Yes, they
okay,
will
so
grocery shop. If you let them out, they will go grocery shopping for you.
so what about we're coming close to our hour. So what about children in cages? You know,
Mm.
AOC prior when Trump was president was absolutely against it. Now Biden's president, and she's like, you know, it's not so bad. We're taking care of them. Children in cages. I mean, have you seen any of that?
Haven't seen it. And you know, it's funny that the kids in the cages, wasn't that also during Obama? Weren't that,
Yeah,
didn't that first, you know, it's not like Trump invented it, you
right.
know? And it's like, there's gotta be a better way, people. And yes, there are kids who are being sent to the border, you know, unescorted to get up in, because, you know, they know we're not gonna sit there and turn kids away and say, you go back to, you know, wherever, you know, and they know that. And it's unfortunate, but I mean, put them in cages. Oh my gosh, you know, I mean, and it's funny, my favorite show, Law and Order SVU, had a whole episode about that. And this one girl, this mother found her daughter, and they showed all the kids in the cages. I don't know, it might have been live. And they showed all the kids, these little girls, all running up to the case scene. This one little girl get out, and it just breaks your heart, because you're just like, this is happening in our country. We are actually taking kids and separating from their, I mean, to me, it's like, you had the kids at the border. Why couldn't we have put bracelets on them, tag them? We tag animals. I mean, we could at least tag them so we know where they are. How are we losing children? How do you lose children in the system? I don't understand. You got them at the border, you processed them, and now you're like, I don't know where they are. Really? Really? But you can go find Osama bin Laden in a mountain, but you can't find children and see that's what the problem is with our immigration system, is that people just are walking freely, doing whatever, you know, and all this nonsense. That's why, like, even with this COVID, this is this nonsense. It's like, you know, they're telling us they don't want us to travel here and travel there, but you're still allowing people to fly in here they're getting their visas and popping in here, and COVID is not required. You're supposed to have a test to get on the airlines, but the immigration is like, you know, that's not part of the medical.
Well, if
So
they
it's
wear a
like,
mask. If they wear a mask, well, what? I understand. All right, so we're gonna have to wrap it up. I gotta admit, you know, I'm proud of you, because not once have you mentioned the NFL or football or anything like that. And I appreciate that, because God, if you want to see my eyes glaze over, that would have been a good conversation. Well, you know, I appreciate you doing this with me, and this was a good topic. I mean, you got a lot of information. You know a lot about this stuff.
it's my baby. I'm passionate about. I mean, I can constantly and stuff.
Just to clarify, so if I'm ever in a foreign country like the Philippines or Russia, and I need to figure out how to be on the down low, I can talk to you and you could help me out. All right.
I could guide you away. I could guide you.
I like it.
Only the legal way, though. Yeah, only the legal way. I could get you, you know.
But you know the not so legal way. All right. So just want to clarify.
Just got to be careful in Russia. You know, they're kind of, you know, and it's funny. I'll tell you a little note about Russia. Okay, when you're doing the processing, you got to send in your paperwork and stuff. In Russia, it is illegal for you to, because you know, you got to send in your birth certificate, your police report, your copy of your passport bio page and stuff. Well, in Russia, it's illegal for you to mail that stuff. And I'm like, so our immigration system, and now you can upload that thing. But I mean, when I filed for my husband back in 2016, all that stuff had to be mailed to the National Visa Center, which is in New Hampshire. So I'm like, so you are making these Russian people do something illegally, and if they're caught, they can be persecuted. And you know, in that country, they don't play. They put you. So you know, so just imagine you're in Russia, and I mean, people would be, you know, on the immigration boards and on my visa journey, and they would be posting and going, I'm really nervous about putting my police report in this envelope, because if it's caught at customs, I can go to prison. And I'm like, man, we have people in Juarez, Mexico. Ciudad, that is the only embassy that's open in Mexico, the busiest embassy, U.S. embassy in the world. People get killed because I'm the cartel, right? You're going up in the U.S. embassy. I know what you're going there for. You're trying to get to the United States. So I want to get you to be my mule. And guess what? If you don't want to be my mule, guess what? Maybe you might die, maybe your family might die. There are people actually risking their lives to go to some of these embassies. I mean, I think they're going to be closing down the one in Afghanistan since we're pulling out. There ain't gonna be no protection there, so that's probably going to go away. We already closed the one in Iraq. We already closed the one in Syria. I really don't know what they're going to do with the one in Mexico because it's so dangerous there. Imagine risking getting shot or killed just because you want to go to your visa interview because you want to be reunited with your family that's in America. It's like, man.
Wow.
Like I said, I could talk about all kind of stuff all day, but
Well, Debbie, thanks for coming on. For folks watching, thanks for watching. If you have questions or comments, leave them in the comment section. Check out the website, www.larsonsblog.com. And we'll probably end up having you back and talking more about some stuff. Is that okay?
Okay.
All right. Hey, thanks.
All right. Thank you.